I saw how simple and sleek it was, because sometimes students go crazy with fonts and colors, and I just wanted them to show like the meat and potatoes of what they could do, and that's what Bulb really helped. So I looked at it through the lens of the portfolio, but then I started to see, wow, this can help me to teach my students, because I do a lot of project-based learning. We actually, all the teachers do at Cass Tech, and this was a way for me to do stations. So I was able to work with 10 students, um, maybe in a separate part of the classroom, while 10 students stayed on the computer and they followed my bulb. And I realized, okay, this is a great teaching tool, but I can integrate all of the other stuff I use. I know everybody's being inundated with all this ed tech going on, but I was able to put ed puzzles in there, Nearpods, links to Google Classroom. So it was just one easy place, like Payton said, to organize everything.
That's fantastic. So to follow up on that, I would love to hear from Payton. What are your thoughts about how digital portfolios actually benefit a classroom?
I think digital portfolios are great because instead of having everything arranged chronologically, you can access your assignments and resources in a different way. Because especially at our school, when we do a lot of long-term projects, it can be very confusing to go back and find the resources and assignments we need. So organizing it this way just makes a lot more sense and allows us to be a lot more organized, but also to go back and view what we've done in a way that allows us to improve what we've done, what we're currently working on.
That's excellent. Lee, how about you?
I mean, I would just say it's about the same thing as Payton. Most of it's, it's there, it helps us, and sorry, I think my microphone cut out.
You're doing great. We can hear you fine.
Okay. I lost my train of thought. I'm so sorry.
You're doing fine. So actually then I'll just follow it up with this, and anyone here is welcome to jump in. So beyond the classroom, if you could just talk a little bit more about how this now benefits in a remote learning plan. And I'm looking to Belinda first.
When all of this occurred, this actually helped me to remain calm. And what I tell the teachers I work with, and I even helped our counselor get her bulb portfolio up, is just one page at a time, and you'd be surprised how powerful that one page is just for students. And what I noticed from feedback from the kids, because we had a Zoom digital class meeting, was it was easy to go back in and make it a little simpler for my students so I can be more effective of a teacher. So I started off with one page, because we had about 3 days, like everyone else, to get everything together and keep the learning going as best as possible.
And so hearing from your teachers share that, and knowing now that you guys are in this environment fully, how are you finding Bulb helpful to keeping that learning happening at home? Lee, would you like to start?
So Bulb has definitely helped me remain calm, because I know how to use the computer. I know how to use this new website to help me achieve all my assignments and everything. And it's another new source that I can use instead of using all the other sources that we've normally used in all classes. So having a new source, a different source, but also knowing how it works and how it can help us has really helped me to not stress out over all this craziness.
And Payton, what about you?
I think Bulb has just really helped making sure everything isn't completely overwhelming. Instead of having everything between two, sometimes three different platforms, it can all be consolidated in one place. And it just helps make things simpler and easier to comprehend and follow.
Absolutely. And so actually, having seen Belinda's portfolio, I would love for you to share your screen, Belinda, now, if you don't mind. And if you could just kind of walk us through that first page that now has become a collection of how your students and you are connecting during this time.
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so just to let everyone out there know, I discovered this about 3 years ago. So my collection is 3 years worth of work. So just start one page at a time, but this, you will learn the difference between collections and pages, but it's easy to start. And I actually created a collection just for my digital class. And the page that I started off with was I did everything in chunks of weeks. So rather than going back to, we had a certain amount of periods each day. I don't know what your district is doing, but I just wanted students to feel free to get work done whenever they could. And maybe this would help them prioritize, okay, this is what I'm going to do this week. But I think all the teachers are realizing we have to have flexibility with the due dates. So I started off with making a little video. They want to see us. So I made something really quick just to say we can get through this. So that was fun to do. And I try to go outside to have a different environment. But we were actually working on project-based learning before we left. So I wanted to keep the normalcy. And I start off with their objectives. And I know some schools have done this. I learned it in one district. We always post the today you will so that you can. So it's just a different format of putting objectives. And I started off with putting everything in bullet points. You have a lot of different options to do in Bulb. So if you notice, I highlight it and just go to my my little T there. I have different options for fonts. So not too many, so you don't have to go crazy. But if you want to do a numerical type list, you can definitely do that. But I just kept with the bulleted. You see, I have a lot of links. I don't want to get into templates too much because I know Bulb has great resources on how to use that, but it's easy and it just walks students how to go to the templates and use the templates. And this is more of a technology type of instructional format. So I try to keep it normal for the kids, but you can do it however you would like. I actually put a little misnomer on the on each page. That was today because I'm realizing some kids are freaking out that they're not making due dates, but I want to let them know it's okay. We're working with them. Then I added a video on how to do the week's work. Right now, you'll notice saying you can't edit and you have to go into preview mode. The students see something different. This is just the how this teacher can see I'm creating everything at this moment. So if they want to read how to do the work, I put it up there. But if they wanted to watch a video, I'm able to do that and upload it easily in Bulb. And then for those kids, I just kept something optional if they wanted more work, or if you want to add funny videos or something, or our counselor put soothing sounds. So if they want to work with something in the background, you can have fun with this. Anything goes, really. You'll see after last week, I got a little bit better with this week's work. So it's always a work in progress. With the Zoom bombing, I first had the Zoom links in Bulb, but I decided let me put that just in Google Classroom. And notice I took out some of the lists here, but I still had the video of the guided lesson, and it depends on what the kind of work is. I will let you know that next week I learned I need to scale back on the amount of work for students. So Peyton and Lee, don't say anything yet to the class, but I will be getting that up. And what I did for everyone else was I did create a template. If you want to start something like that, you would go to my week of template, and I just type over the light gray italicized text, and you can add whatever you would like. It's very simple and easy, but if you want to use anything else that I have as a template, just let me know, and it's easy to do. Now, here's the big thing about Bulb. It is safe. I get to decide who sees what, and if you've never used Bulb before, at first you're probably a little bit confused about that concept, but I'm going to go back to this page, and when I hit publish, right now I have everything to public, but I can actually add in there if I want Cass Tech High School, or I already have my students already set up. And that was easy to do with integrating Google Classroom, because that's our LMS that we use. So that is how I've been using it this week. And Michelle, is it okay if I just go into how I've been grading it for students?
Sure, I think that would be fantastic.
Okay. Peyton, I might use you as an option. I asked the students to just go ahead and give me their link in Google Classroom. So if you use Google Classroom, very easy to do, but you'll notice Google Classroom gives students always an email, or it can get overwhelming with everything in their stream. Peyton, what class period are you in again? I'm so sorry. Is it 4, right?
Third period.
Third, okay, I was close. Oh my gosh. Okay, so in the stream, they get everything, and with a lot of teachers posting things, that can be overwhelming. So once I go, let me get to the assignment. Okay, so the assignment was simply for them to copy and paste their Bulb page link. So that was easy to do. If I go back, I just highlight and Command C, and then in their Google Classroom, they could just paste the link or attach the link. And then it would take me to their work. So I click on Peyton's. And this was actually a template I used from Bulb, because I did have 3 days to get everything up and coming. And Peyton was able to take this and run with it. He put his reflection in words, and they had to take a virtual tour of a museum that the template already had in there. So that was Peyton's assignment, and I'll let him talk about his portfolio later on. And let's take a look at a different student. So I have Megan Maldonado, and she kept a little bit of the template. So this was on the template, and these were the questions that I had them do. And I told them that if they weren't comfortable with writing in there, they can add audio, they can add video. So just show me that they're doing the learning. I can also make comments. So if I highlight in here, I can highlight something, and then that little comment button, I can maybe give them an uplifting message, or say, hey, don't forget, watch out for run-on sentences. Then you just comment, and the students get to see that. Now, I went a little bit further with Google Classroom because I saw they have the rubric now, so I can go in there after I look at their Bulb and I created the rubrics. So I would say the student is accomplished on that part, and then maybe on this part, they didn't do too well, and I get the grade right away. So that's how I integrated my LMS with Bulb. But that's pretty much it for right now. Last week I was able, or the beginning of this week, I went a little bit further and I created a digital course overview page in my office hours so that students, if they're bored or they need to know that we're here for them, or there's still some guidance or direction, that they have that. But that's pretty much a quick overview of what I'm doing during this time.
That was fantastic. Thank you, Belinda. And actually, thank you for showing us how you are using the grading options and the rubrics within Google Classroom, and how you can tie this all back into your portfolio. So moving into that then, Payton, I would love for you to just also share with us now that we've seen how your teacher is using this to communicate, share out lessons, give you assignments, how are you using this portfolio in the remote setting now that she's outlined it in this format for you? And you're more than welcome to share your screen if you also want to show us a bit of your portfolio.
Thank you. Well, now that I have everything outlined, let me share my screen real quick. Okay. Now that everything is outlined, I have my portfolio where I can start putting my work in the same way. So she has all the templates posted for us. It's as simple as copying the template and then bringing it to our Bulb page and then changing it however we want to. But because the templates don't necessarily, you can change a template however you want. You don't necessarily have to stick with the template. So if you wanted to change it up in a way to express something different or show somewhere else you went, maybe you went deeper to an assignment or took a slightly different route, you can change it to show how you did that. So for example, here, there was a lot of questions that were answered one by one in that original template, but I wanted to do more of a, I just wanted to write about it more. So I was able to modify it so I could just write about it that way.
It's now become yours. Yeah.
Yes, it has.
That's fantastic. So Lee, what about you? How are you finding, I know you have been using Bulb in the classroom with other students for some time now, but seeing how you can share and comment and get other perspectives and understanding about the work with students, how are you staying connected with those students via your Bulb?
I've really only had like one person look at my Bulb and show me or like tell me how I could fix it and help me out with it. And he said, he gave a lot of good feedback, as in, hey, maybe you want to change up this paragraph here. And he didn't know how to use the comment thing, so he would just text me it. So it's a little different how we stayed in touch that way. But he was like, this is really good, and I really like it. Just, maybe these little changes.
So you are staying in contact with other students, not just Ms. Medellin, for example. You're able to communicate with other students, granted not through the comment section with him, but in other situations, there is opportunity for students to provide their feedback and comments on your work, yes?
Yes, definitely.
So Payton, how about you? Are you finding this working okay from home? Do you find it's easy to stay connected to students, to be able to get feedback from your teacher?
I think it is, because it's such a shared platform between all of us. It's very easy to send someone over a link or share it to them and ask what they think about it, instead of having to maybe explain how you need to get to this for them to do it. But I think overall, it's definitely made it much easier. It's standardized everything for sure.
That's a great point, because I believe at Cast Tech, if I'm not mistaken, Belinda, you guys are on secure measures within the system itself, so that you have lockdown for students in how they can share, but they are able to share out their information via a private link.
Yes.
And is that true for all of your students across grade levels, or does it vary based upon their grades?
Right now, the decision was made to keep it private across all grade levels. Once they're into their junior and senior year, because we have only been open 3 years, for internships, we're going to play around with maybe those students having more of a public option, because that way they get to learn how, what should I make public and what should how to protect themselves online as well. And I know a lot of people
Right.
are probably thinking, well, I've done portfolios with websites, but I think today it's showing that it could be more than just a website, but it can be very secure for students. And a website, once you put it out there, it's all public. And the portfolios, I have more, I feel better as a teacher that I could get out what I need for my students, but not everything is out there. So most of my stuff is public just to help educators, but I still have some stuff. I do my teacher reviews. We still have them coming up, and that's private. And that's a good way for me to show my principal, here's what I'm doing, especially during this time. And I just used a private bulk page.
That's fantastic. So students, I would just love to ask you, how is Bulb helping you to own your learning? Lee or Payton? Sorry, I should have picked one. So how about Lee? We'll go with Lee first.
It helps me own my learning because I'm able to look at what the assignment wants and take that and change it to how I learn, or even show how I would explain something. Whereas if I was doing a worksheet in class, I'd have to follow the directions exact.
Would you say that it's making this time to be at home a little more creative? I know, for example, I have students that have brought home packets of work, and that can be a little daunting, not to mention how do you get that back to your educators after the fact. So how are you finding this time specifically to be able to really demonstrate that learning?
I'm able to make it fun. I'm able to add videos and pictures and cool things that I think are neat. And I'm able to just do it my way instead of having to sit down at a desk and write and hurt my wrist over and over again. And it's so much easier to get results because you turn it in and then you get a grade like almost instantly.
And Payton, what about you?
I think since Bulb is so easy for me to archive my work, it's really helped me to go back and look at my work and see what I can improve on. So I think I'm doing a lot of retrospective learning through that. So I think that's definitely the way it's helped me the most.
That's fantastic. I love hearing you say retrospective learning, knowing that we're coming into a time of the school year where students are becoming more reflective, looking at the work that they've done over the course of the year, and you're able to see your progression and where you've come from. It's not just a grade, right? You're able to really start to see where you started and where you're headed.
And one thing, Michelle,
So
I was speaking with, I'm sorry. I was speaking with Lee because she is in an arts program in downtown San Antonio called Say See, and she had put that in her portfolio, and she realized this is a good time that I can, like Payton said, go back and make it a little bit better. And because some students have time on their hands. And we realize in high school, some of our students, they're probably out there working, and Bulb is great for them to be able to refer to and get something done on their terms when they have time right now.
That's fantastic. And actually, I was able to have a little peek at that portfolio. Lee, would you be open to sharing with us a little bit of that construction and the process that you took to create what is, I believe, 3 years now of work?
Going on 4.
Going on 4.
I would show you it. I just don't have the share screen on my end.
Oh, okay.
And while we're getting that up, I know Payton only showed our class, but we have our English teacher that had great projects with bulb too. So his collection, like he was saying, he was able to go back and see work. So it wasn't only work just in my class, and he's been doing a great job of keeping all of that really sleek. I like the designs that he chooses, and the kids can have a little bit of fun with the banners. Okay, I have fun with the banners too, so you get a little bit of fun out of the learning.
So Lee, I believe it's fixed. If you're able to pull it up, that would be fantastic. And then while Lee's doing that, I would just love to ask Payton as well, thinking now just about digital portfolios, having been in them over the course of this past year, how do you think it benefits students just as a whole? So I know it clearly benefits you, thinking of friends that you know of that maybe aren't currently using a digital portfolio. How do you think that this could actually benefit them as well?
I think as a whole, for a lot of students, a bulb helps them mostly just because it allows them to express themselves differently and kind of make learning their own in a way. Because they can choose to, they still need to have the requirements of the assignment done, but they can choose to express it in a way that maybe they do better with, or they enjoy more, or allows them just to go deeper into their learning. But also it's just so customizable. They can use it for really anything to help them.
That's fantastic. Thank you. Oh, there you are. There you are. You're on mute, Lee.
I think I got it. Okay.
Okay.
So this is my portfolio. This is my SACY thing. I don't have a lot of things in here because I'm still trying to get photos of my project, and it's a little hard right now considering it's closed because of everything that's going on. The one project I do have a few things on, but not a lot, is my home studio is the Hive. So there's four studios at my art program, and the Hive is the home of innovation of video ecology. So we do a lot of technology-based things. We made a video game the first year I was in the high school program. So I've been working on this one, and I have all my things that I'm starting to add stuff to, like the story, the mechanics, the art. I made it with 6 other people, and it's Bulb helps to organize and show all the different projects I've done. The one project I do have finished, I made for the CAST Student Network, the CAST Network Student Connect that we had. While all this is going on, they decided to try and gather a bunch of artistic things and stuff that the students have been doing while they're at home. So the assignment was, we're living through historic times, pick something to do, and I decided to create an art piece. So I decided to create an art piece, and I went through my process, what my choice was for and shared my slide on here of all the, I shared my slide of all my pictures I had taken while I was making the project. And my project was a wooden house, and inside the house was things that are going on in my head while this is all going on. And I was able to put a video on here of my final product. which it's a really short video, but it shows, I think it shows the project pretty well. So that's one thing I've been able to finish while I'm here.
Thank you for sharing that with us. And I'm not sure if it's just probably internet, but I can tell that you've got something beautiful there. So thank you for sharing that, Lee. And so actually, I think we're coming into our Q&A time, and I'm seeing some questions that are coming through from folks specifically for Belinda. And actually, I'm not sure if you've seen this one or not, Belinda, but they would love to know, and I think this would be really helpful in your portfolio, just how you are using Bulb for your office hours.
Yes, I saw that, and I actually am using Zoom. So I let students know when my office hours are. So if they ever have any questions, of course they can email me, but the Zoom link is in Google Classroom. So that way I'm just keeping track of who's coming, who's logging in. But on Zoom, I have the option for the audio to tell me when somebody is in my Zoom. So I keep it open from 3 to 4, and I'm always recording it. So I can have protection for myself and the students. But as soon as I hear a little ding and use the waiting room, that's in there. So this is just, it's an easy page to make, and it's just so that kids know I'm going to be there when they need it.
That's fantastic. Lee and Payton, how is that working for you guys?
It's working out great. There's a lot of time to be able to talk to your teacher if you have questions, which is one of the most difficult parts about remote learning is you can't necessarily, it's not easy to talk to your teacher one-on-one, so that's definitely helping to resolve that issue.
I think it has made the access to talking to your teacher a lot easier because you're able to talk to the teacher has these set hours as they do at school, but you're able to communicate with your teacher a lot more now because you're able to send emails and other things that you weren't thinking about while you were at school because you thought you could just walk into the classroom and ask a question.
But also thinking it from your portfolio, are you able to, I know we had mentioned commenting, for example, ways that you can have conversation via your Bulb in a sense while you're sharing your work and seeing that coming in a real-time feedback from her, and then for you to respond back.
Could you restate the question? I'm sorry.
You're both on mute. I know you're thinking. It's okay. I can see the wheels. I can see them turning. So Payton?
Sorry, I'm having a little trouble on this end. Can you restate the question?
Yes. So I was just wondering, from a Bulb perspective, when it comes to communication with your teachers, for example, knowing that office hours are specific, but Bulb is open 24/7. So depending upon where you're at within the assignment or the work that's being done, have you found that easy to be able to communicate with your teacher through Bulb that way? If something comes up in the assignment, or if you just want her to look it over and to provide that feedback, you're able to then communicate with her through Bulb.
I think Bulb's definitely made it easier since it's a lot easier to share a Bulb page to her and send an email. It's definitely streamlined the process. And since it's a common platform, it's very quick to do that through. But I think so.
And I know at the bottom of the Bulb screen, you have ability to comment. So I can see student comments, but for me, so grading also, I like to use the likes because students like to see that also. And I get some students that like some of the pages that I do as well. So that makes it another easy way I can go down there and see what, if anything the kid needs.
Thank you guys. So now I'm looking specifically at our Q&A and what's coming through. Do we have any other questions out there that would like to be answered from Belinda and her students? If you do, go ahead and click it. Yep, here we go. Oh, this is a great question. So they would love to know what apps can be used with Bulb. If you could give some examples, because the list is plenty. We're over 1,900 with the number of apps that can be integrated into your Bulb. But if there's any favorites that you guys use, feel free to share them. Belinda, would you like to start?
Sure. I use so many things that it could be overwhelming. I guess that just shows that it's very capable of integrating all the edTech, but I like using edpuzzles in there. As far as apps, and I can't remember, the librarians are going to kill me, but our librarians put a put up something where you put all the little apps into one little, is it Flipperoo or something like that? I'll have to find out the name of that, but Flipgrid, a lot of teachers are using that now, so the possibilities are endless.
Lee, how about you? What are some of your favorite to pull in?
I haven't really used apps with Bulb, but I like that you can link your Google Slides and all the like Google apps to Bulb, because I do a lot of things with the Google stuff because it's free.
Uh-huh. And Payton, how about you?
Again, I can't really say that I've used apps with Bulb very much, but I do agree with what was said earlier that it definitely does integrate to Google products very well if you're trying to upload anything from there.
And I think just to help educators as well, during this time, it's like, as long as you start one page and one thing, then it's going to help the students.
So our next question comes from Caroline, and she's asking, sometimes my students accidentally delete content or pictures while working on a page. Is there a way to get that content back? That might be a Bria question. So, and I know that she's on here.
I was just typing Caroline back. Yeah, so you can use if you're doing text, your text controls, like your Control Z or Command Z on the PC to be able to get the text back. For pictures, there isn't a command. You just have to put it back into your, do insert again. Now, once you have a picture on your page, it always saves in your asset library. So that image that you had uploaded or video or anything like that previously will be at the top of your asset library. So you can easily add that back in. And I can't say exactly, but I'll tell you that we have some new features that'll be coming out somewhere in the future that'll help with some of those things as well. So stay tuned, because we always have new exciting features coming out.
Thank you, Bria. So I have another question here from Bridget in our chat, and she's asking, how have you used Bulb for tests and assessments? I'm thinking Belinda.
So for assessments, because we do project-based learning, I have used rubrics quite a bit, and like I showed earlier, I know how to integrate that now with Google Classroom, but not wanting to overwhelm anyone at this time, I would like to just share how I did the project-based learning. Go back into my Bulb, and the students are using my Bulb to guide their project, and then they're creating their Bulb to present their project. So that's something later on down the line when you are actually in the classroom and you could present. Bulb has that easy feature to use. For example, Psychology of Color project. So this was just a page, and I let them know how I'm going to assess their assignments. And actually, Payton, would you mind sharing your, oh, I put in how to use Jamboard on Google, but Payton, would you mind showing how you created your psychology of color project to present? I know I put you on the spot.
Sure. Let me share my page real quick.
You see, he has a lot of work in there from different classes.
Oh, wrong page. Sorry, which part were you looking for again?
Just to show how, for assessment, for me to realize that you learned about the psychology of color. I just wanted to show how yours looks different from mine. Mine's more on the teaching aspect of here's what I expect to see, and then how you as a student did that. And then I would go into Google Classroom and grade in the rubric. Thank you, Payton. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thank you guys. We appreciate your time. Just making sure, are there any other questions that we haven't answered yet for you? I'm looking through and I'm not, oh, here comes one. This one comes from Kim. How do students and teachers find assignments in Bulb?
Alyssa, you want to take this? Alyssa Lee, sorry.
So finding assignments is all about how the teacher sets up the assignments. Usually she'll link us a link in Google Classroom, which is pretty helpful because it takes you straight to the page, or she'll tell you go to this part, then this part, because you can put pages into collections. So you can have like one collection of something and then there's a bunch of pages in there. And then you can go in and you can copy a template, through it, and do the assignment.
Anything else on that, Belinda?
Yeah, Lee did a perfect job summing it up. It's really quick and easy.
You did it beautifully. All right, so we're about 10 minutes to the top of the hour, and I just want to make sure if there's any more questions, please submit them now. Otherwise, we're going to start to close out our session today. And
Michelle,
go
real quick in the chat, I want to share what our counselor has done, because like I said, she started off with one page and she's like, I'm not technologically savvy, and just sent her some of the resources, and she has some really neat things for kids during this time. So I want to share that out.
That'd be great. Please feel free to put that into the chat. And I want to make sure that we've also sent out, I believe we were going to send out your actual direct link as well.
Yes.
That way they can access the templates that you've created. And so that's part of our free resource for today that she has graciously offered. And you can go in there and work from the UX classroom that has a schedule and the whole collection in there that as a teacher you can go in and pull those in for your own to use. And again, as you saw from Payton and Lee sharing, it's very easy to make it your own once you've pulled in that template. I'm going to share. So with that, I think we're good unless anybody else on the Bulb team is seeing questions. I definitely don't want to miss them if they're still there. But I just want to take a minute to share with you also Belinda's information. If you wanted to email her, she has graciously shared her email. And for you to stay connected with Bulb, especially now during this time when I'm sure many of you are in remote continually throughout your day. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, of course, on Instagram, and even in Pinterest. I thought I saw, there's a question in here. Oh, thank you for joining, Dawn. And with that, we just want to say thank you for joining us. Have a wonderful Friday. May the coming week of school continue to be new experiences, improvements, and joy. Stay healthy.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, all three of you, for joining us today and being such wonderful presenters.